I'm going to tell a little story about how we're going to be approaching these stories. And this is called The Path. There was a man who lived in a village, and he moved away to the city to go to work. And he stayed there for a long time, worked hard, and he earned a lot of money, and he became a really wealthy man. So then he moved back to his village, and he wanted to share gifts with some of his true friends, you know, with all this newfound wealth. So he came up with a plan, he made some preparations, and then he called the people around him, and he said, I've been preparing some gifts for my friends along the path that goes to the river. And so go, find my gifts for you. And so there was a group of people that were like, wow, look, in the path here, there's this sand. Isn't this cool? And they took it home to look at it further and analyze it. There was another group of people that ran down the trail as fast as they could because they were so excited, and they got to the river and they were kind of like, wow, you know, this is the same path we've been following to the river for years. I didn't see anything different, did you? But there was another group, and they started down the path slowly and surely, and they knew, they trusted their friend that he had something good for them there. So they walked and they were looking carefully. And pretty soon one guy said, wow, look, this tree that had fallen down and was in the way in the path, he's moved it. Look, these thorn bushes here, they've been cut back. And then pretty soon someone went, oh, under these bushes, there's a bag of rice hiding. And then someone else found some cooking pots on the other side. And they continued slowly down the trail, finding all these good gifts. And see, so this wealthy man, he was pretty smart. He couldn't give stuff to everyone, but he really wanted to give gifts to his true friends. And he knew the ones who trusted him would look until they found what he had hidden for them. So this is what we want to do when we're reading Bible stories. God has hidden treasures within every single story. Lovingly, he's placed them there. And so as we study a story, we're going to go through the path of that story slowly and carefully to find the treasures that are hidden there for us.
Okay, so we've given you some things to think about, and now I want to share with you how we tell a story in STS style. Before we do that, let's pray. Father, open our eyes and our hearts to see the treasures that you have placed in this story for us. Be our guide. Thank you for ears to hear and hearts to receive. In Jesus' name, amen. Now, before I tell you the story, I want to give you just a little tiny bit of background. Anytime that Jesus goes somewhere, he has his disciples with him, unless it says that they were not there. And this is where the Bible story begins. Now Jesus, as he entered a town, there was a woman there named Martha, and she welcomed Jesus into her house. Martha had a sister named Mary who sat at the feet of Jesus, listening to what he said. Martha, she got so busy with all of the preparations. She came to Jesus and she said, Lord, don't you care that my sister has left me to do all the work? Tell her to come and help me. And Jesus said, Martha, Martha, you are worried and upset about so many things. Only one thing is necessary, and Mary has chosen it, and it will not be taken from her. And that is the end of the Bible story. So what I'd like you to do now, please, is to tell the story just the best that you can remember, starting with when Jesus entered a town, there was a woman there named Martha. See if you can do that. Yeah. want to do is go through this story again, but I want you to help me. Are you ready? Mm-hmm. All right. So as Jesus entered a town, there was a woman named Martha. And what did Martha do? Welcome to their house. And Martha had a sister named Mary. What was Mary doing? Yeah, listening. Wow. What happened to Martha? Yeah, she was busy in the kitchen with all the preparations. And she goes to Jesus and she calls him something. Do you remember what she calls him?
Master.
Lord. And she says something to Jesus. Do you remember what she said? Don't you
care?
That.
I'm working.
Yeah, that my sister has left what? Me to do all the work, yeah. And then she gave Jesus a command. She says what? Tell her, come and help me. Wow, okay. And Jesus turns around to Martha and goes, doggone it, just go take care of the kitchen.
No.
No? What did Jesus do?
He said, Martha, Martha, there's only one thing that really matters right now.
Yeah?
And Mary has chosen it.
Yeah? Good, okay. And he said just something a little bit before that. He said, you are so worried and upset about so many things.
Yeah.
And then you got it right on. Only one thing is necessary. And who chose it? Mary. And would it be taken away from her? No. It will not be taken away from her. Great job, guys. Thanks. Okay, so now I get to sit down. Alrighty. So I'm just kind of curious. You know, we see Martha being just overwhelmed with all of the things, preparations to do. What do you think she might be feeling like?
Stressed.
Stressed, yeah. What else? Pardon?
Frustrated.
Frustrated, distressed. What else?
Irritated.
Okay, irritated. Wow. So in the beginning of the story, we see that, you know, Jesus is coming into town and Martha opens the door for him and invites him in. And she has a sister Mary sitting at his feet and listening. And she's busy with all of the preparations. How many people might have come with Jesus? Remember I said in the introduction, wherever he traveled with. So how many people did this wonderful woman invite into her house?
You don't know what she's
A bunch. So the fact that Martha did that, can we learn something about her?
She's hospitable.
She's hospitable, yeah. Anything else we might learn about her?
She's a hard worker.
Hard worker, wow, yeah. And you see that how?
She's working when others aren't. I don't know if she's getting frustrated about it. I mean, she's actually doing something, so.
Yeah, she is.
Yeah.
Do you think Martha had some other choices that she could have made besides letting Jesus come into the house and be busy with all these preparations?
She could have done what Mary did.
Ah, okay.
Just chill.
And you think that might have been a good thing?
She could have ordered takeout.
Yeah. It's probably right.
Takeout would have been a good thing.
They had it.
Yeah, so there's some other things that Martha might have done. I mean, I like having her sit at Jesus' feet. Yeah.
She could have closed the door and not come in.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you said close what door and who not come in? I missed it.
Oh, Jesus not. She could have not let him into her house.
Yeah. But I think you said she was hospitable, and I think I heard that, and so that would be something maybe that you think she would, well, it's a choice she had. But she didn't do that, did she? No. She opened up her house. And then we see Mary sitting at Jesus' feet, listening. And her sister is in the kitchen preparing a meal. For who?
Bless you.
Thank you.
For Jesus. And who else?
Her sister.
What do we learn about Mary?
She's lazy.
She's lazy, not happy.
She might be, I mean, I wouldn't wanna be out there doing that 15 guys.
Well, she looks like she's a learner.
Okay, she's a learner,
She wants to learn
yeah,
because she knows who Jesus is. I'm assuming, obviously.
yeah. I mean, where is she sitting?
It's
At his feet.
Which is actually a place where people, usually learners, would sit, so it was an honored place.
Wow. And so she's sitting in this honored place, listening and learning. Wow. And so do we see something going on here between the sisters? What do we see?
Sibling rivalry.
Well, value difference.
Value difference. Yeah. And sibling, I get it right, sibling rivalry, yeah. Yeah. And what was the impact on Martha because Mary sat at Jesus' feet?
She was angry.
Yeah. And what do you think might have been the impact on Mary when Martha comes to Jesus?
She could be defensive.
It's kind of shaming her
Mm.
in front of the.
Shaming her, being defensive. Do we see Martha doing anything? I mean, Mary doing anything when Martha comes? Wow. You know, do you remember what we said Martha called Jesus when she came to him? Lord. Huh. What does that name kind of mean? I mean, when she calls him Lord, what might she be thinking about Jesus?
Her superior, her king, her master.
Okay, good, yeah. And then, what does she say to him? Don't you what?
Care.
That
My sister
has
Has left me.
to do all that work.
Work.
Oh. What else might Martha have said to Jesus beside, don't you care? Lord, don't you care? What else might she have said to Jesus? She's frustrated.
Lord, command my sister to come help me.
She did do that.
I
But
quit.
that
Would
I
definitely
quit.
be applied.
I quit what?
I quit. I'm done. I just walk out.
Ooh. But I want to know what she might have said to Jesus. I mean, that's what she could have done. That's an awesome, yeah, I'm
She
out of
could have
here.
come out there and said, Jesus, I'm done. I'll leave. I quit.
I'm really
Wow.
pushing up.
No, that's good. I like that. Yeah. I'm done. I quit. And she could have said that to Jesus. What else might she have said to Jesus?
Why do you let my sister sit at your feet while I do all the work?
Yeah. Okay.
Could she ask him what he would rather her to do? Like,
You think that's a good thing? I think that's a good thing. Yeah, absolutely. Ask him what would be better, eat or listen. What do you think? Wow.
or why don't you do a miracle so I don't have to do that?
Oh, that's the best of all.
I do think alike. That's what I was like, make this happen.
You said 5,000, come on.
Yeah, you can do this.
Oh,
Oh, that's perfect, thank you. Okay, but, you know, she goes to him and says, Lord, don't you care? What do you think's going on in Martha's heart right now?
She doesn't feel valued, like she's a servant person doing all of the work where her sister's getting to actually spend time with the time.
Wow, and not valued. Wow, that's huge. Yeah. What do some of the rest of you think?
Sarah stole
That's what I was
it.
thinking too.
She feels less valuable than her sister.
Okay. Wow. And then she turns around and says, gives Jesus a command, tell my sister to come and help me. Who did she address him as?
Lord.
Who's the Lord? Martha or Jesus? Tell my sister. Wow. Wow. And then Jesus turns around and says, Martha, Martha, you are worried and upset about so many things. Only one thing is important. Mary has chosen it, and it will not be taken from her. Can we learn something about Jesus and the way that he responded to Martha?
He responded and he didn't react to the situation.
Ah, how else might, that's great. How else might he have responded to her?
How dare you tell me what to do?
Yeah,
Excuse me.
yeah, who is he? Who is
Do
he?
you know who I am?
Yeah,
Do you know who I am? I'm the one that made you.
yeah. Are there some other ways that Jesus might have responded to Martha?
He could have just been just as abrupt.
Mhm.
And, I mean, humanly speaking, he could have, but because he's God, he probably, obviously he didn't.
But he had that choice,
He
didn't
had
he?
the choice. He had
Yeah.
the choice to respond or react to the situation.
Mhm, mhm, yeah. I just, who else is sitting in this room with Jesus and Mary and Martha? I'm wondering what impact Martha's outburst to Jesus might have had on the disciples. Whoa, what do you think?
That woman.
Woman.
And their culture, maybe, I don't know. I mean, women weren't always, I don't know.
But I think the way that he responded, like he said, Martha, Martha, he could have just said Martha,
Mhm.
but what the text actually reads Martha, Martha, which has a softening to it, and so there is a care, and of guiding her to look at this, look at it different, trust me.
Mhm.
Mary's actually doing what needs to be done, you could do this too. Yeah, I don't know, I just think he was actually giving them guidance on how to help people who are worried about everything.
Mm. Okay, giving them guidance,
Yeah.
yeah. Do you think they might have been surprised at how Jesus handled it?
Absolutely.
What do you think they might have wanted to do? I think we'll go to the restaurant.
I wonder because when it talks about Martha, like if it was like it was a soothing thing, but if it was like if she was so on a rant, he's like Martha, Martha, kind of like get her attention because she's so frustrated and yelling.
Yeah.
And then that second Martha was the soothing one, like the compassionate one.
Ooh, yeah.
Instead of saying Martha, Martha, because if she's that frustrated to come in, she's probably yelling, and he was probably trying to interrupt her with love, maybe or something. I don't know.
Oh, I like that, yeah, yeah.
Like,
And
Matt,
then, calm down.
Matt, chill.
Yeah, I like that. So I'm gonna go chill, Steve. Okay, so then Jesus says, after he tells her, you are worried and upset about so many things. Did Jesus say anything bad about what she was doing? What did he do when he said to her, you are worried and upset about so many things? What was he saying to Martha?
Seems like he was speaking to her beyond what was currently happening. He was speaking to some deeper pain, some deeper things.
Yeah, because she was just busy.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was just busy, and he
He's
says,
talking to a bigger picture of her anxiety
wow,
than just
wow.
what was currently happening.
So does that, might we learn something about Jesus from what he did when he did it that way?
Yeah, I think he's speaking to where her heart's at and the heart of the issue, beyond the surface level of just her actions at that moment.
Okay, wow, thank you, that's really good.
He cares about them personally,
Oh,
rather than like the heart. He addresses the heart issues, but he's looking beyond the circumstances into the heart.
Yeah.
Just
oh, that's good.
because he cares.
Because he cares, yep. If he hadn't cared, we talked a little bit about what he might have done. Yeah. So then Jesus says, one thing is important, and Mary has chosen it, and it will not be taken away from her. I'm kind of curious, what do you guys think might be that one thing that Mary had that wasn't taken away from her? And I have no answers, so you need to just tell me. Because I want to know.
Her quiet time.
Her
Being in a place of learning.
Okay, all right. To be in a place of learning? Sure.
being able to
Yeah.
spend time with God. I mean, it's not too far away from quiet time, but in that case, it's like, I don't know, it's reminiscent to me of the Pharisees asking why Jesus' disciples weren't fasting. And he's like, why would they fast when the bridegroom's with you?
Yeah.
You want to spend this time with the bridegroom. When
Yeah.
he's gone, then you fast.
Yeah. So what in this story made you think about that?
It's kind of like, you're worried about all these things, Martha, but really I'm here and you should be sitting with me.
Yeah. Wow.
I think another one, I think another, her choice. I mean, maybe she was the type of person where her choice, maybe Martha was the older sister or something. And she was like, no, you have to do what I said, so her choice to choose is like, she didn't really always make a lot of choices on her own, because she was either told what to do or something like that.
Oh, okay.
And so her choice is not gonna be, she
Okay.
chose to do this, so let her do her thing.
Wow.
I don't know.
All right.
I wonder if she had discernment to know.
I'm sorry, I'm getting
Sorry.
lost in the he's and the she's.
Yeah.
So if you could give me proper names,
Yeah.
that would be really
No,
helpful.
for sure. That Mary had discernment to know when to sit and when to work or do or get busy.
Oh, wow.
And that she saw, okay, Jesus is here, I sit, but
Uh-huh.
I don't know.
All right, that's great. Yeah. So if I'm curious if Mary had gotten up to help Martha, what might have been the impact on Mary?
She would have missed it.
She would have missed it. And vice versa. If Martha had gone to sit with Mary, what would have been the impact on Jesus and the disciples?
They wouldn't have had anything to eat.
Oh dear. Would that have been a good thing or a bad thing?
Well, they might have had something to eat because Jesus might have made them.
No, actually, I really do have lunch with this, but I just wondered.
I think it's more of an object lesson. I mean, that's why it's in the word. It's an object lesson of what is important. And if they were sitting there, both sitting there, they would have gotten wonderful things, but we probably wouldn't have heard about it.
Okay, so you said the object lesson. What are you seeing as
The object lesson of we can get carried away with all the busyness, but we need to be with Jesus.
Okay. So I'm kind of curious, do you think we can be busy and be with Jesus at the same time? Is that, do you think Martha could have done that?
Yeah.
Be
Oh,
busy and be
yeah.
with Jesus?
I wonder if Martha wasn't listening. I wonder if she could have been working and listening at the same time.
She might have been.
But
Obviously, it seems like she wasn't because she comes to
she
Jesus and
was
says,
too
what?
focused on being angry to just work and listen.
Wow. Wow.
And I think if Martha came and sat with Mary, then she would have also missed something too, because yes, she reacted in the situation and said, why are, all these angry things or whatever. But Jesus may not have had that opportunity to say, don't be so anxious and all these different things. And so maybe if she were to come sit with Mary originally
Uh-huh.
and not even been in the kitchen, that opportunity, that small interaction between Martha and Jesus,
Yeah.
when Jesus addresses that personal issue, may not have happened in the sense, and maybe that one little tiny thing that did actually happen
Yeah.
was something that reset and changed the course of her life that may not have been in
Wow.
effect, or it would have been in a different manner, but, so maybe even just that small interaction may have been,
Oh, Matt, thank you.
you know,
Really appreciate
we
that.
were looking at Mary's perspective,
Yeah.
and then you said what Martha would have been like if, what she would have missed if.
Yeah. So it is there. So in the beginning of the story, I think, Sarah, you shared that you thought that Martha might have felt devalued for the work that she was doing. So I'm wondering today, when we get busy in ministry, do we ever, are there ever times when people feel devalued for what they're doing? Does that happen today?
It really does.
And you want to share a little bit what that might look like?
I have a friend who's not here anymore, but he was working in a department that is super important and super key, but all the other departments on base are always getting recognized, the facilities, the kitchen, and all these different places. And he goes, what about the one who makes your internet actually work? What about the one that keeps the accounting office running so that you can actually get money? And so in a way for him, he was like, okay, it's great that the kitchen needs help, it's great that they're always getting acknowledged, but what about, he's not here anymore, but what about the IT? What about those that keep you happy? You don't recognize me until something goes wrong, and then you come and want my help. So for him, it was an issue of being valued.
Wow, thank you for sharing. I mean, I think the first thing I do, I walked into Nancy's house and went, where's the password?
Yep, that was his thing. What happens when things go wrong? Oh, they come to me. Otherwise, they don't even know who I am.
Yeah. So that does happen. I'm just curious, has this ever happened to maybe you, or like Steve shared, someone else that you might know? That you'd like to share?
I mean, I've heard it a lot. On the campus here, we have lots of people who are doing kind of behind the scenes stuff. And I do as well. But it's like, it's really the schools that get the glory, because they get the people who are going through training, and then they go out and they have rubbing shoulders with people, and people get to come to the Lord, and then they come back and it's way, and sometimes people who are in the accounting office or reception or do feel like, what am I doing? So we have tried to get them, let them do outreaches and so on, so that they don't feel that way, but
Well,
it's a big deal.
it is a big deal.
It is a really big deal.
What about maybe you personally, or where you've been in a situation where you felt devalued? You're working in ministry.
I used to work at a horse camp, and in the barn, you could be the lowest, like I think it's called a side, and then a tail, and then a lead. And if you're a side, you set up all the horses outside, you put the saddles on, you tack all the horses up. But then you're in the middle of the trail ride, and you don't have the same skill level as the other people, and so you can't do as much in terms of making sure that the ride runs well, or like you're not leading the ride, you're not calling out things on the trail rides, but you're always the one that's supposed to get off your horse if a kid falls off, or you're supposed to go and tag the horse. You have to be the fastest moving, and you're doing a lot of the work that needs to be done for things to run smoothly, but you're actually not in a position where where you're getting the glory or whatever. And a lot of times people that have worked in the barn for a long time will say that the hardest job on a trail ride is to be the side, but that again, it's the job that doesn't get the glory as much. I don't know.
Yeah. Wow, thank you. Thanks for sharing. So at the end of this story, we talked a little bit about what the one thing was, and Steve, you had, or Matt, you had a really good observation. Can you just remember kind of what you said?
With Martha?
Yeah.
Yeah, just, so had Martha chosen to sit with Mary, which would have been fine, it would have been the better thing. I mean, obviously Jesus says there's a better thing and she chose it. But for her personally, had she sat there with Mary, it would have been good, yes, but she may have missed that interaction with Jesus. That may have not been the interaction with Jesus and her about Jesus saying, why are you so worried, and all the addressing them heart issues may not have been, may not have taken place. It would have eventually, but may not have been taking place. And that may have been something that set a course for Martha in the future. Maybe they didn't actually address that again in the conversation.
Yeah.
But I can almost guarantee you, because I'm human and I know Martha is as well, that she probably thought about that later. And she's a woman, so I'm sure she thought about it even more.
Does that mean you guys don't think about anything?
But we do. But I'm just saying, as what I know of women generally, but because she may have thought of that later.
Sure, good. Think about this.
Then
Yeah.
as she thought about it later
Yeah.
on, then she may have been more proactive and being more discerning, like Ainsley said,
Yeah.
about
Yeah.
what is appropriate at the time.
Yeah,
Maybe
thank
food is
you.
appropriate, always is appropriate, fine.
Yeah.
But at that time, so.
Yeah. Okay, so in the story we see that Jesus addresses a need of Martha that may not have happened had she not been doing what she was doing. So I'm wondering if today there are times where maybe people meet a need that we have without really knowing something about what we're doing or because of what we're doing.
Oh yeah, all the time.
Okay, what might that look like?
A story. I want to share a story.
Really quick?
Okay, really quick. A team went in. I think it was Brazil. I know we have the time. Team went into Brazil. They saw the need being healthcare. They had a health team. They're all wanting to get their health team. The people that they wanted to work with there, didn't want the health thing. They're like, we actually don't have a place to play any sports at all. We'd like to actually have a soccer field. The team didn't want to do that because they came from medical, but they agreed. They're like, okay, we'll help you build the soccer field. They built the soccer field. The moms came together as the men played. They realized that their kid was sick just like their kid was. And they're like, wow, actually this is a bigger problem, that we actually need healthcare.
Wow.
So
Wow.
they came to the conclusion themselves of the need that they needed.
That's cool.
Wow.
But it didn't happen like they thought of.
Yeah.
So the real versus the felt was a bit different. So
Wow.
they
Wow.
addressed a real need, even though they felt the need was this.
Wow. Thank you. That's amazing. What about some of the rest of you?
What was the question?
Okay, so we see that Jesus addressed the need of Martha, maybe more than the want. And the need came up because of what she was doing. So today, do we see, it could be Jesus or somebody like Jesus who meets the need when we are involved in something that maybe we need to work through. What happened today? I'm going to share a little bit of something that happened to Nancy and I last night. We spent all day yesterday preparing for today. And it's sort of like last night, what was it, 9:30, 10 o'clock, we're going, we have to go to bed. And neither one of us are feeling particularly good about being really prepared for today. And Nancy got a wonderful text from a friend that has touched both of us. And I got a Skype message from a friend that I haven't heard from since I was in Guatemala in November. And both of them were amazingly encouraging to say, it's not about you, it's about me. And wow, what a pressure to have been taken off. Because we were like, Martha, oh my goodness. We need to be like Mary. We need to be like Mary. So thank you. I loved your sharing. It was really good, and it's been a special day.